All right, guys, we are going to be covering Living Waters Ministry. Now, for those who don't know, that is the ministry held by Ray Comfort. And they've got a video called Too Many Christians Believe This Lie. So let's see which lie they're talking about. Is it potentially young Earth creationism? Is it potentially anti-vaxxing? I mean, there's a lot of lies that fundamentalist Christians believe. I wonder which one it will be. But before we get into that, I want to get into the fan art section, but this one's going to be a little different. You see, normally I like to pull up 3 pieces of fan art that are in the fan art section for each video, but today's a bit different. You see, today, Salem Sky has put in literally an entire comic. So we're just going to voice over the comic. We will definitely not have time for any more than that. So let's go ahead and go. We begin with me slamming my hammer into a coin, angrily bashing down on it again and again and again, getting more and more exacerbated as things go. There's even coin blood! It's coin juice! I'm a little bloody too. How'd that happen? Why are you laughing? I've defeated all the other coins. You're the final one standing. Once I defeat you, all the coins will be eliminated. Once and for all. It's over. You think it's over? You can defeat me, but I will never be gone. You see, every time you simply mention the coins in your stream, we are reborn. It's an infinite cycle, a forever regression, where your suffering in the attempts to defeat us only create more! And then we literally have the chat screaming, more coins. Look, it's already started. They were never on your side, Cirrus. I am eternal. And I am just defeated. Just completely defeated. And there's nothing but the laughter of coins left over. Story, art, and coin movement instigated and perpetuated by Salem. Jesus Christ. Why does this feel like the perfect time for it? No, it's not. Shut the fuck up. Red Joker, thank you for the 101 bits. Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, no, we certainly cannot do more than just the one at that point. Fluffy NB Vixen, thank you for redeeming your points for an owl. Screaming Slime says more coins. Aha! No. Staberite? Thank you very much for redeeming your points for an you fucking degen. Alrighty. With that, let's go ahead and get into the actual content. That voice. God, I wish I was more sick because it's easier for me to do that voice when I'm sick. But let's go and take a listen.
How do you feel about abortion?
Well, I'm very pro-choice, you know, and I think we should have the freedom to do what they want. I think that's completely up to the woman. I don't think we should have laws telling them what not to do.
Okay.
It's okay to kill a human being in the womb when?
Now that, you know, now that it's kind of settled in, I mean, we're forming. Even if we're outside the stomach or inside the stomach, right? It's still a life being formed. That is you, technically.
Right.
You know, that I was that, so whether I was inside or outside, I don't want to be killed, and now I'm here, so I'm thankful, so.
Oh my god. So, this is why I don't like man on the street interview stuff. It's so easy for someone to get shifted when they're being ambushed in a conversation.
Why you doing me like that, bro?
Do you think that two consensual people should be able to have intercourse?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Duh.
definitely.
Do you think two 13-year-olds should be able to consensually come together?
No, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's consensual. Yeah.
So, there's nothing wrong with people who are young doing things together because there is no breach in power dynamic. I lost my virginity when I was 15. As long as there is no breach in power dynamic, then you're fine. I don't care. Be safe, use protection, get educated. But anyway, let's see.
Consensual.
Why not? Consensual.
Because they're not adults yet. They're not making the proper decisions. They don't know what's best for them. And they need to be focused on being a kid and enjoying life, and all that stuff will come later.
Where did this idea?
So I like how he's just like, oh, well, they just need to focus on other things. Okay, cool. We can agree that people can focus on being a kid, but like, while I agree with that, while I understand that, I also don't think there's an issue with people who are super young doing things with each other where there is no breach of consent. Like, kids doing things is icky because we picture adults doing things with kids. That's icky. That's wrong. It's a breach of power. It's awful. But again, I lost my virginity very close to that age. And I was as informed as I could be when it happened. And I also did it with somebody close to my age. So... This is one of the reasons why it's important to tell your kids what sex is and tell them to keep protection on them. And also tell them that condoms have this really nasty habit of breaking down when you keep them in a high heat environment. So keeping them in your wallet is a really awful idea. Don't do that.
Of becoming an adult at 18 come from, right? I mean, many different societies have many different beliefs. Let me say this, there is nothing adult about doing those things which God forbids and condemns.
All right, there's nothing adult about doing those things that God forbids and condemns. Okay, so what things is he talking about?
How do you feel about a 13-year-old consensually wanting to have sex with a 23-year-old man?
That's not consensual. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video before he even gets to the answer there. Consent has to do with information. It has to do with being fully informed of all the implications. There is no way at age 13 to be fully informed of all the implications of an adult with 10 years your senior experience taking advantage of you and your body. Because you may want to have sex, but you cannot account for the vast degree of shifting in power dynamic between the two of you. That power differential is the important factor. That is the thing that has caused issue. To try to be like, now that I've moved it to a 13-year-old to 23-year-old, are you still okay? Well, no, we're not going to be okay. Because we recognize that there is a degree of naivete for somebody who is 13. That degree of naivete is typically not present in somebody who is 23. And that person can take advantage of the other one.
Consensual, but yeah, that does bring about a bit of a slight dilemma, I think.
This is why I don't like man on the street interviews. The correct answer is it can't be consensual. There can be no consent where all information cannot be given. This is why, like, if somebody is stealthing, that is not consensual sex anymore. Because you agree to sex with protection, but if the person stealths and now it's sex without protection and they are aiming to impregnate you, you did not consent to that. You did not consent to that behavior.
I think people that are 13 probably don't really maybe know what they're doing as much as a 23-year-old.
You know, I read an article that our brains are still developing until our mid-20s, right? If we use kind of that argument.
That's not an argument. It is not a binary. Brain is developing, then brain is not developing. We don't have a binary between the two. No. Don't fucking do this.
Well, aren't both of their brains still developing?
The old rule is that when you're 18 is when you're adult. I stick behind that because, I mean, I love my tattoos, but I got mine when I was 17. You know what I mean? So I've made different life changes out through my life. And I believe that it takes a certain part of your life to where you believe that it's worth putting something on your body or doing something with somebody sexually, for sure. And you need that parent guidance.
A 13-year-old can't get Tylenol at her junior high school without parental consent. She can't get tattooed makeup. She can't go see a rated R movie without her parent. But she can, legally, in 9 different states, go into a Planned Parenthood and get an abortion without...
Because an abortion is protecting them from a pregnancy they don't consent to. What kind of idiocy are you doing? Why? Can we talk about the differences there? Can we talk about the differences there? A tattoo is a thing you consent to, you put on your body, and you may or may not like it at a certain point in life. Who knows? A child is a different thing. A child is a lifetime of responsibility. A 13-year-old, generally speaking, is not equipped for that lifetime of responsibility. It also could kill them.
Any parental consent. Is that a good idea or is that messed up?
If you're old enough to make a responsible decision like that, I wouldn't want to take that right away from her. Why aren't they getting the parent love that they need? Because if I was a parent, I would teach my daughter what a real man looks like every single day.
Is this what a real man looks like?
Yeah, man.
Let's imagine for just a moment that there is the hottest girl that you could imagine, and she wants to get together with you. She's willing to do whatever you want to do, but there's one catch. Shortly after you guys get together, about a month later, she gets to kill one of your family members. Would you do it?
No,
Why not?
it's not worth it. I don't want anyone to get.
That's abortion. He's being sneaky. Did they cut it because it sounded like he was answering a different question? That's what it seems like. I don't know. But okay, so but she gets to kill one of your family members. This only works if you consider that little fistful of cells a family member. Until that bitch is born, they're not a family member. I'm sorry. They don't look like a family member. They don't act like a family member. They don't know what the fuck a family is. Now, if you want to say that they're a human life at every stage, cool. I know lots of humans that are not my family members. You don't get that until you are born and you are in my family. And even then, whether or not you stay that way is completely up to you. If you start, going around and raping and killing people, you may get kicked out of the family pretty quick. I am a huge advocate that our family is what we choose to keep around us, not what we are forced to be birthed into. Said Sneaky, that was a fist-sized analogy down the throat. Look, I'm not saying that this dude is incapable of measuring size accurately for his arguments, but...
Get killed. If my pleasure gets someone killed, then that's not worth it for me.
All right, so now I want to bring in the moral dilemma here for you and see if you can put the pieces together. How do you feel about abortion?
I don't really want to comment on that.
Well, I'm very pro-choice, and I think we should have the freedom to do what they want, and I think that's completely up to the woman. I don't think we should have laws telling them what not to do.
Did he not tell what was happening there? Could he not tell what was going on in that argument? I'm sorry, but he heard the first part of the analogy. How did he not recognize the trap that was coming for him?
That's my opinion.
This is why man on the street interviews are
that
bullshit.
It is a baby inside the womb?
Ooh, I'm not going into that area.
No idea.
I don't really think on that, but
God, I want to have one of these. I want to have one of these interviews. I want to be the person to bring into the mainstream the idea of the scorned woman's fetal canon. I want to bring that into the mainstream. I want to have this guy or Ray Comfort or whoever to have that conversation with me and to be like, what about abortion? Just be like, take you one step further. Have you heard of the fetus canon? No, what is that? Well, you see, you have a choice. You can either do a regular abortion. That's boring, though. No. We're going to turn this into a competitive sport. We're going to take a line of ladies, and we're going to have them just aiming as far as they possibly can. It's like competitive pissing, but with a lot more blood. And then just, boom, rocket that shit out. However you plan on launching it. And whoever gets the furthest, their abortion is free and covered by taxpayer dollars. There we go. That's how we're going to go about it. That's how we're going to do it. That's the world we envision today. I want to bring that concept to this guy, and I want to appear in one of these videos. And I want them to have the dilemma of either keeping that argument that is ludicrous and reeks of Poe's Law. I want them to determine whether they keep it because it sounds so awful. It would make me sound absolutely demonic. They would be forced to keep it because it's gold. Or if they choose not to because they'd be so worried about upsetting their audience. And then I get to call them out on cowardice. Salem says there wouldn't be an issue if people could willingly shoot babies out of themselves. We wouldn't need abortion clinics. We would just need abortion toilets. Salem, abortion toilets? I'm planning on having the target be a tree. Like, you're trying to see how high you can get those parts to slide down the tree.
I think there is, there's cells and there's life, but yeah, I'm not really sure on that one.
When we go back to that original premise, when I asked, well, would you get together with a girl, but she gets to kill one of your family members?
That's technically what she's doing if she gets an abortion, right? Yeah.
Would you get together with someone if you knew she was going to get pregnant?
And now he's putting it together. He's realizing he's been trapped. He let himself get trapped in the argument.
And then she was going to kill your offspring. Would you do that?
So
If it's her body, her choice.
Yeah.
So when you say that it's her body, her choice, I don't know many people that are more pro-choice than myself. I think that a woman should be able to choose what school she goes to.
I think that a woman should be able to choose what she eats for lunch.
I like the way that he just reframed pro-choice, and by like, I mean it's actually kind of disgusting. Like, you're pro-choice as a position. We know what pro-choice means when we bring up the position. Playing the word game of, well, I'm really pro-choice. I think women should be allowed to choose who enslaves them. I think women should be allowed to, choose what sandwich they eat at the local Subway. That's not what pro-choice means. He knows that.
I think a woman should be able to choose whether or not she wants to have tattooed makeup, right? Knock yourself out. You want to do that, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But now the question is, does another individual have the right to harm another individual? Like, can I come up to you and just slap you upside the face?
I would prefer you not to, but
Yeah.
I would definitely defend myself.
Yeah,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because
And you know what? Getting rid of that fetus is also self-defense. And I say that hoping that Cosmic Skeptic Fangirl will get angry about this one, because I love watching your insane rambling on Twitter. It's hilarious. Anyways.
I have no right to do that.
Yeah.
Abortion advocates have hijacked the word right and have applied it to things that are not right. Abortion has never been a right. It's not mentioned in the
Oh, whoa. Trust me. You don't want to know.
Constitution, and it's not mentioned in the Bill of Rights. So the question that needs to be asked and answered, what is inside of the mother's womb, right? If it's just a blob of tissues, should we be able to kill the blob of tissues?
You didn't come from a toddler, you were a toddler. You didn't come from a teenager, you were a teenager, right? It's like saying, I can kill that person because it's just a teenager. Or I can kill that fetus because it's just a fetus.
It's not like that, though, because a teenager categorically has a culminated amount of experiences that make them a person. A toddler has a culminated amount of experiences and personality that makes them a person. A fetus has none of that. Even if you were to grant it personhood, even if you were to grant it that, you still will not be able to win the argument of whether or not the fetus gets extra rights over the woman's body or the woman gets rights over her own body.
Right? So a fetus doesn't tell us what it is, it tells us when it is, at what stage it is.
Would you care if I cut my son's fingernails?
No.
Right. So what about killing my son? You'd probably intervene. You'd probably step in on that.
100%.
Right?
100%. Just
So-
as a natural thing. We don't want to see death and
That's
have
right.
people die. Yeah.
So
The question needs to be answered, what is it? What is inside the womb? Would that make sense?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
A person with no lived experiences that is equivalent to that of a vegetable, we have the power over them, not the other way around.
Like, is it technically like alive, or is it just tissues or fingernails, like you're saying?
yeah, like
They say, some people say, well, it's just a blob of tissues. I go,
Well, it is. Those tissues have not formed into anything discrepant yet.
Well, you and I are a blob of tissue, just a bigger blob of tissues, right?
Don't forget, every human at in any stage of life is a clump of cells. A toddler is a clump of cells. A teenager is a larger clump of cells. And then,
Hey, look, a pile of arguments, or the argument from the pile. How this argument typically goes is saying, hey, at what point does a pile become a heap? When does my pile of hay become a heap of hay? A heap of hay is larger than a pile, but where's the point between the pile and the heap? What he's doing is he's wondering if you are going to listen to this argument based on whether or not it's a heap of cells or a pile of cells. When that's not really the issue. What he's done is he's engaged in a category error. The category error being that we are not talking about the amount of cells present. We are talking about the lived experiences that the fetus may or may not have, or the zygote, or, you know, the fourth cell in formation, depending on what stage we're talking about. That thing, whatever it is, even if you call it a person, has no lived experiences yet. It has nothing except that which we bestow on it. So my argument is, do not bestow extra rights onto it. Allow the mother to maintain her rights as far as you possibly can. I maintain this same principle when it comes to somebody breaking into my house. I do not consent to them being into my house. They did not consent to a bullet in the chest. That's unfortunate that you didn't consent to the bullet, but you don't deserve to be in my house because I don't want you here. A woman has a child in the womb. She does not want the child in the womb. The child may not consent to being scooped out in whatever gruesome way propaganda wants you to believe that the baby is scooped out. But ultimately, it's not their decision. It's the mother's decision. It's her house. So get out. Now, we bestow the same amount of rights onto this person in the womb as we would onto somebody who is, say, a vegetable. There's a potential that they will wake up from a coma. There's a potential that they'll have a life they can live afterwards. There's a potential there. They are a life. But ultimately, we have been given jurisdiction over what to do with that person. As much as that might suck and be gruesome to think about, that is the utilitarian way of doing it.
an adult is even bigger clump of cells.
Answer this question for me. It's okay to kill a human being in the womb when?
That's a hard question. I don't even know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
At any point, especially if it is funny, that would be my answer. Because my goal with somebody who is disingenuous like this, my goal with somebody who is walking in with bad faith arguments, is going to be to unseat them. My goal is not going to be to engage in as good faith as I possibly can. My goal is going to be to get down into the weeds and use the same tactics that they are using.
No.
Do your spiritual beliefs have anything to do with the decisions you make from day to day, or is it, you know what, we're just kind of evolved beings making decisions?
I'm a Christian,
Okay.
but I like to look at everything in life.
I've taught yoga and taught meditation for a while, and it's all relative.
I was baptized Christian and I was baptized Catholic as a kid, but as an adult, I took my faith into Christianity. I'm a Christian now, but I don't really advertise it in a way because I like to believe that I'm part of a little bit of all the religions.
There are only two worldviews. There's the world's worldview, and then there's God's worldview.
And now we have an example of us versus them, the otherizing there. Truth is, there are thousands of worldviews. There's atheists, there's polytheists, there's agnostics, there's Christians, there's various monotheists that are not Christian. There are people who don't call themselves Christian, yet eerily have all of the exact same cultural beliefs. There are people who are apathetic to the idea of religion and God belief in any way, shape, or form. There are people who hold religious beliefs and do not believe in an actual deity of any variety. There are as many ideas about the world as there are people living in it. This idea of boiling people down into one of two categories of person is stupid, in my opinion, because the only thing that you accomplish when you do that is you create an us versus them narrative, which is really convenient if your goal is to, I don't know, control a congregation of people. But it's not super useful if your goal is to, you know, be honest.
Right? Religion is man's attempt to get to God or to become God, but Jesus was God's successful attempt to get to man.
Why did Jesus come? If there was a way...
He came because Mary Magdalene washed his feet. I don't need to tell you all what that was potentially an allegory for in the New Testament, but washing of the feet was not as common a practice in the spoken way as you may think. Just letting you know that there. Jesus came because Mary Magdalene wanted it to be that way. Just saying.
For people to be maybe forgiven of crimes that they've committed, sins that they've committed, why did Jesus die such a horrific death?
Because the Romans wanted him to. Plain and simply.
I mean, if everybody gets to kind of get to heaven, then why die the way he died?
Because God is uncreative and had to use a blood ritual instead of, no, I don't know, making the system not broken in the first place.
And why did he die?
Nobody wanted it to probably go that way.
Nobody wants it to go that way. Listen, God wants it to go that way. Sending Jesus was always God's plan A. Revelation 13:8 says that
it was his plan A because the other plans before fucked up, apparently. But that was definitely the plan A. I, too, incorporate my plan A last after all of my other plans, like flooding the earth.
Jesus was slain before the foundation of the world. There will never be a plan B with God.
Ha ha ha! That's a hilarious statement for somebody talking about abortion. There will never be a plan B with God. No, 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 no. Plan B is how my potential future child will make it to God faster.
It's just about, you know, treating others how you want to be treated and respect and, you know, showing love to people.
Yeah. All right, so when you say that, hey, I think we should treat others the way we'd like to be treated, that's kind of known as the golden rule. You wouldn't want to be murdered. Would you agree that if we defined a baby in the womb...
He's incorrect. He's incorrect. Treating others how they want to be treated is not the golden rule. The golden rule in the Bible is treat others how you would want to be treated. Treat others how you would want them to treat you. That's the golden rule. The golden rule is not treat others how they want to be treated. This man just hijacked a basically sound philosophical principle and then called it Christian when it's not.
As a human being, say, you know what, that is a human being. Would that now limit your mind and say, you know what, well, maybe we shouldn't kill whatever's inside the womb?
I think definitely, and now that, you know, now that it's kind of settled in, I mean, we're forming, even if we're outside the stomach or inside the stomach, right? It's still a life being formed, and that is you, technically.
A 6-year-old cannot give birth to another child. That doesn't mean that 6-year-old is less human than a 16-year-old.
Right, so it could be the same for a 6-month-old semen-egg combination.
Right. At 21 days, the heart begins to beat.
It's funny. So the heart doesn't begin to beat at 21 days. That's actually a lie. The heart doesn't begin to beat for far after that. What your ultrasound is tracking there is not actually the fetus's heart. That is something moving in rhythm to the mother's heart. But more evidence why man on the street interviews are bullshit.
35 days, there's brain waves that are noticeable. How would you define what a human being is?
Salem says, honestly, I think this guy just started agreeing to make him leave. Probably. Honestly, probably.
What is a human?
Life. It's just life, something that's alive, and I guess it's whether it's going to be grown into it or not, it's still life.
He's getting it, right? The light bulb is turning on. I love it, but let's not keep it there. Let's head on into the law to bring the knowledge of sin and bring up grace and the gospel and mercy and forgiveness.
Oh boy, it moves from disingenuous conservative nutfuckery to conversion. Religious conversion.
Because that is the ultimate aim of our conversations.
You know, I think a lot of times people think about what they're going to order in the morning for breakfast in the morning more than these deeper issues that are, hey, listen, we can actually agree to disagree and go our way. We're not enemies. you know, in the midst of that.
We need conversations like this, you know. We need people to be level-headed and not emotional and actually speak about whatever you believe in, don't believe in, and you have to
I implore this man to not get emotional when I bring up fetal baby cannons.
embrace counter perspective.
All right, so I come from a Christian position, and I believe that all life is valuable, right? If we're looking at a homosexual or a heterosexual, if we're looking at a black guy, we're looking at a white guy, everybody is valuable. But I think that we have dishonored God through our mind. When Jesus Christ was born, he lived a perfect life, right? He never lied, he never stole, never committed adultery. He lived
Yeah, except for that moment when he was like whipping people in the temple, but you know.
a perfect life, unlike you and I, right? We've all blown it many ways. Have you ever used God's name in vain?
Yes,
Okay.
but I'm not happy about it, you know, and I try not to, but I have in the past, yes.
Have you ever stolen anything?
Maybe like once, and then I learned my lesson.
All right. So these sort of things, they're called the commandments,
What was the lesson? Don't be poor?
right? And those commandments demonstrate that you and I, we're in the same boat. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. Let's not rock the boat. But what it demonstrates, we're a couple blow-its in a blow-it world, right? And knowing that, God cannot give us access to get to heaven because we're not holy and God alone is holy. And because we've broken God's law, we deserve to be judged, right? But if God gives us justice in the midst of that,
Then it gives you.
go ahead. And if God judges us, that we
I want to know what the random guy said. What? Why'd you cut that out?
deserve to go to his prison, hell. But God doesn't want that. So much that he sent his son to come and live a perfect life. Is he a friend of yours?
Yeah, we're boyfriends.
Nice. All right. Can you give me just a minute? I'll be happy to talk to you in just a moment. We're in the middle of it. All right. Take care.
I'm a celebrity.
Yeah. If God judges,
Wow, that was a power move. Wow, you're preaching. I don't want to talk to you. Yeah, no, straight up, I'd do the same if my goal wasn't to unseat him for fun.
you by the commandments, bearing in mind that you're like everybody else, do you think you would go to heaven or do you think you would go to hell?
I put in a bunch of work every day, and I make space for people, and I can confidently say I think I would go to heaven.
See, I think you are a good person.
Oh boy, he's gonna do the faith versus works thing. Do we care about any of that? Do we care about him doing the whole like actually it's by grace you're saved, not by works?
In my that you and to his son Jesus, because I would your gift. That's what following him. What it means to become a Christian, right? We're little followers of Christ, if you would. We're not perfect, but we're following him who is perfect. We'll still blow it. We'll still mess up, but we're perfectly forgiven. 3 days after Jesus died, he rose again from the grave.
I
So
don't
that would
care
be-
about the
There is like a
proselytizing.
good or a bad place to go to. Do you want to take that chance? That's what you have to ask yourself. I don't like taking chances.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Oh boy, it's Pascal's wager. And then it's gonna be propaganda about being in the womb. Jesus, that is a face only a mother could die for. Okay. Nope, we're done. We are done. We went from potentially maybe a little bit intellectually stimulating philosophical conversation about when life begins to God and various reasons why you sent for him. I don't care anymore. Jesus fucking Christ. This is why I'm trying to make content on the other two channels. Because this is the type of stuff. It's the type of stuff I've lived with my entire life, and it's sad to see people fall for the same traps over and over and over again. This video demonstrates one of my main issues with Man on the Street interviews, and that people are not really prepared for these kinds of conversations, and a properly equipped speaker can maneuver you in any way they want through this little minefield of conversation. They can move you where they want you to go. Not a huge fan of that. But I'm going to know what you guys think in the comment section below. How did you feel the speaker did? How did you feel the people he talked to did? How did you feel for some of the editing in there? I felt like there was maybe some context removed from a couple of bits of conversation, but who do I know? I wasn't there. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, internet and video tagline here.